This is effing disgusting. By Soci3ty, fantastic commentary channel to watch through. I saw the Tecton had covered this recently. And if you are curious why Hannah is so against this video, this is going to involve endangerment of children, or how I will certainly see it as endangerment of children. And Hannah looks after children, so my mod is going to be probably raging throughout this video. But we need to get through this. We need to talk about this. And it's just something that fits deeply within me. It resonated after they went after Asmongold, who is one of my biggest wishes that one day I'll be able to meet him or talk to him. But now I really needed to go through this. Why can't people let children be children? Because, well, you'll see that this particular person in this video really doesn't want children to be children. But let's get into this.
I've heard it all. I mean, I've been doing YouTube full-time for about 4 years, 4.5. I truly thought I've seen it all, but no, there's always someone freakier to come along, and guys, we found it. So there's this YouTuber / Twitch streamer who goes by Nyara. I think that's how you pronounce it. In my opinion, they're legitimately one of the freakiest VTubers out there. Now, for the longest time, I thought VTubers were freaks. I thought they were weirdos. I thought they were degenerates. But then
I mean, I kind of am a degenerate. I kind of get where he's coming from. But the best thing about VTubers is you can express your opinion without having to worry people judging you for your looks or anything. But in the same exact breath, you get people like this, who, as you will see later into this video, just expose their disgusting tendencies for all to see, and they think that they can hide behind the VTuber model.
I realized, oh, that's just a stigma. It's not real. Not every VTuber is a degenerate. Some of them are chill. I mean, just look at this one right here.
Jump!
Right. There is a boy.
Who's this? Oh, stupid.
Stupid nincompoop. I'm sure that's what she was going to say. Totally haven't had this exact problem when I've been singing along to DMC on the other streams that we have been doing. Totally not.
Bitch.
As you could see from their videos, they're pretty trans-oriented, if you will. They talk about is trans, which, you know, I don't care. It's your content. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It does become an issue and a little freaky when you want to get kids involved into your world. And before we really get into it, I just want to say this. I don't hate trans people, okay? I really don't hate.
Neither do I. And I will clarify this as well, since he is clarifying it. I don't hate trans people. You can be whatever you would like to be. You can love whoever you would like to be. Just don't involve children and don't make it illegal. Those are generally the two stances that I am firmly on. Just keep it above board. You can love whoever you want. You can be involved with one person, 50 people, as many people as you want. Same sex, different sex, whichever sex that you prefer, but don't ever involve kids.
Hate anyone. I only hate people that don't subscribe to my channel and drop a like. That's like my biggest ops. But
I mean, if people want to drop a like and a subscribe, of course, but we'll earn that by the end of the video. Don't even worry about it.
besides that, I have no problem with trans individuals. I have no problem with, well, anyone really. Don't care what you are, as long as you're cool and respectful towards me, I'm going to be cool and respectful towards you. Now that we got that out of the way, because I know if this person sees my video, they're going to be like, this guy's transphobic and, you know, all of this, to beat the transphobia allegations. This should be a nice introduction to who this individual is. This VTuber has repeatedly shared their desire to groom children. They even think children can consent to life-altering decisions. So where's the backlash from VTubers?
Welcome in, Ivy. Yeah, so we're watching some pretty heavy stuff to start with. But yes, this particular person, Yara, has argued with Rev Says Desu on multiple occasions. Rev, obviously friend of the stream. We love Rev. We will be watching a lot of Rev Says Desu in the future as well. But the general discussion that Rev has had is, why is this particular person, Yara, why are they so against age of consent laws in any fashion, including the exact one that you are thinking of when I said age of consent? They've also argued against things like that. And their logic, which will come up hopefully later in the video, is just disgusting. They've been like, oh, well, since you can't consent to puberty, you should take back your life in other ways, and then you should be able to consent to anything at any age. Don't worry, Ivy, you'll be caught up. It's just we are doing the occasional point and laugh at the weird people who engage with, I don't know, Twitter. Because this particular Nyara has like the biggest Twitter clout. Just always gets views, always gets likes, but obviously the Twitter brain rot has been infected very deep in here.
This is one of their tweets. Trans people will never leave kids alone. We want trans kids to be trans and give them the education and care we desperately need when we were younger. You know, we have this amazing YouTube video and thumbnail, leave the kids alone, leave kids alone. And this base Giga chat responds with no.
How do you know that a kid is trans? Honestly, how do you know? If I was, for example, I had a girl/friend, not a girlfriend when I was that age, obviously. But I grew up with a female best friend, it's probably a better way to put it. And I would go over to her house, we'd play with dolls, I'd humor her, we'd do whatever we needed to. Just because I was in playing with dolls at that stage, because I was with her, would that have been an indication, oh, maybe young Mac is actually interested and maybe he wants to transition into being a girl? Of course not. Let's be real. Let's keep it within the realm of logic. Just because someone shows an interest in something does not mean that they want to transition.
Oh, stupid bitch.
Now, because I'm going to get asked this, do I think children, right? Children/kids, do I think children should start transitioning? No, I am not a fan of that. I mean, how can you make that decision? How old do you have to be until you drink alcohol? 18?
Exactly, Hannah. It's part of puberty to question everything. The way that I heard it described as well, which was a very clever analogy, and I will have to think about who quoted it. I'm sorry if it was anyone in the chat. But they were saying, if you're wanting them to consent to this, can they then consent to surgery? Can they consent to going and getting a tattoo at that age? Because if you want to transition them at 8, why not just let them do everything? Let them have a drink. Let them have the alcohol that they might want because, oh, mommy and daddy drink this, so let me see what they're going to have. Let me have some alcohol too. No, you don't do that because you're going to damage them in their younger years and hinder their progression and their development cycles. You don't do that. It's not like you're going to say, oh, well, my kid happened to watch Walter White and he thinks Walter White is really cool. Let me give him some heroin to just shoot up in the background. Let me give him some cocaine to snort. Well, no, you're not going to do that either, are you? Why do we think that in this particular case that we can let them decide on their own gender? And what happens when 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, a year later, they decide, actually, I made a poor decision in my life, and then they've done irreparable damage to themselves?
21? How old do you have to be until you could get a gun? How old do you need to be to start getting tattoos? 18? But you can change your whole gender or at least start when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Really? That's what we're doing? I think that's a bit weird. I don't think we should be allowing kids to do this. How is this person pushing for little kids to start transitioning, altering their whole body or just because you felt like it that very day? You might change your mind later, but at that point it's going to be too late. When you're forcing it upon kids this aggressively like this YouTuber is, it's weird, it's freaky, it's disgusting.
It also surely must come with some ulterior motive. Why do you show such an interest in kids? All I'm going to say, just Why do you seem to have such an interest in affecting a young child's life?
Let them be a kid. Let them figure their shit out and then go from there. If you're an adult and you want to chop your penis and at 4, go crazy, you know? But doing this and enabling this behavior on a child who doesn't know better, who legitimately thinks that they're Spider-Man, do you really want to give that kid full control of everything he could do? It shouldn't be legal. I think that's fucking insane. They also made this certified hood classic. Forcing kids to wait till 18 is a bad thing. So this
If that was under any other context, you would be absolutely crucified on the internet. I know exactly what you're talking about there, Ivy. Depending on the culture, to be fair, because it's 18 or 23, a lot of things you can do now, drive at 18, that's certainly in South African law. You drive at 18, you drink at 18. Did I drink when I was younger, when I was 13, 14? Admittedly, yes, I'm not a perfect human being. I did do that. But it also taught me very quickly that actually this is something that I don't want to do. And I probably haven't had a solid drink or anything beyond like occasional champagne for like a birthday party or a glass of champagne for New Year's or Christmas with the family. That's about the only time I've drank in probably the last 12 or 13 years. And I'm only coming up to 29 soon. So sure, I may have thought it was cool at the time and then adjusted myself. What happens when it's the exact same thing for a kid? In school, I could have been peer pressured. Oh, you know what? The cool kids are transitioning, so maybe I should transition just because I want to be part of the cool kids club. You wouldn't allow that. No reasonable parent should ever allow that. But I know what you're talking about. The 18 is generally what the law says in a lot of places, but 23 is when you have a fully developed frontal cortex. That's when all of your decision making should have been solidified within your head. And after that point, yes, you can be making whatever decisions you would like for yourself. And then welcome in, Mighty. You caught us doing some YouTube content for the day.
This guy just wants every newborn, as soon as they say goo goo gaga, that means I want to change my gender. So, you know, cut my penis off while it's small. This is weird. I'm not here to call this person a pedophile or anything, but I mean, they're not helping. There is more harm done by not.
I won't call them that, but I do think it is extraordinarily strange that they want to be involved in a child's life so young. Especially, I mean, it's not like they're a parent. Why are you worrying about random kids? I will say nothing.
A kid who is questioning their gender identity to not explore themselves and get the treatment recommended by experts. Who are the experts? Are you the experts? What if they...
Also, when you quote experts, expert opinion has changed over time. Experts change over time. 50 years ago, we thought that, hey, you know what, having a little bit of cocaine was fine. It got you going, didn't it? And I mean, look at the progression of, say, steroids, for example, another thing that you can do and absolutely ruin your life. 50 years ago, it was said it was totally bad and was going to kill you. Then it went through stages of, actually, it's the super best thing that you can do. Because look at you, you'll just grow muscles. You'll go to the gym for 5 minutes and you'll pump all the iron up and down. And magically, you'll just be, I don't know, a Atlantean god, a Greek god. So you wouldn't allow that because over time, expert opinion has changed. As we develop, we learn new things. Let's not push anything onto a child that we cannot justify even 5 years or 10 years down the line.
The kid was 7 and, you know, they have an insane, disgusting parent like this individual. They're like, yeah, sweetie, you could transition. And then they're like, well, I don't like it anymore. I was a kid. I do think in 20 to 30 years, we're going to see the fallout of this. And I'm sure a lot of the kids will hate their parents. Why would you let a kid make a life-altering decision like this? Why are you so obsessed with this? All your videos are kids. It's like, bro, chill out. Your hard drive low-key might need to be checked at this point. And I think
that hard drive is a cursed artifact But exactly what you are saying there, Ivy. Forget gender identity. Have you ever met a teenager who had a proper solid identity? I wasn't. I'll be honest, I wasn't. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I remember going all throughout school and people stopping me and being like, so what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I don't know. I want to sit at home and I want to play video games for the rest of my life. If I can do that, sure, let me do that. I don't know. I don't see a future for myself. I don't know what I want. And that was the honest to God truth. I didn't have a particular direction at that point in time. And I could have been very easily pushed. Younger me in grade 8 or 9, early high school, I could have been molded into literally anything and I would have been stuck with that because I wanted to be part of the cool kids club. I wasn't. When I was in school, I was the bullied kid. I was the kid who went home every single day and I was miserable beyond belief that I had to go to school tomorrow. So I was in no way, shape or form capable of being independent enough to make a decision and solidified in my own personality enough to stick to such a decision.
Back to when I was a kid, and I'm like, I was so retarded. Well, I still am, but a lot more when I was a kid. Dude, imagine if I had this crazy idea put in me by my mom or my dad that if I want to be a girl now, I could. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. And then many years later, I'm just like, why the fuck did you guys let me do that? I was a child. I did not know better. I was literally a kid eating crayons, eating glue, running around like fucking Naruto. Why would you let me alter my whole body because I felt like it that day? You didn't want to be a fucking parent and tell me no, wait, or we'll figure something out. You know what I mean? There's ways to go about it. Like, this is just low-key grooming children into being trans. A 9-year-old.
I would agree with that statement. It is a level of grooming because you are implanting the seeds into their head to push them in a particular direction. A true parent, and I am so thankful that I had my parents, I love my parents to death, they put in the boundaries and said, you can do whatever you want, but there is certain stuff that is off limits. You're not going to become a druggie. You're not going to, knock some lady up when you are super young. The boundaries are there for a reason. A prime example would be if you were a kid, and we've all been there, where we wanted that thing when we went to the store. Mommy, I want that chocolate. And your parents knew better than to give you the chocolate because they knew if you ate all the chocolate, you were going to get a sore stomach. So they said no. And then you hated them for it. But as you grow up, you learned that actually there was a reason why there was a no. There wasn't a just, I don't like you factor to it. It was they were understanding something that you could not understand at that time.
Doesn't know shit. A 14-year-old who thinks they know everything, they don't know shit, okay? Let's see what they had to say. I don't want to slander anyone.
This person thinks that minors should be able to consent
to medical treatment. If minors can't consent to HRT, then they can't consent to puberty. How do you...
Wait. Let me back that up. If minors cannot consent to HRT, they cannot consent to puberty. But puberty is a baseline thing that we all go through. It's not something that we have to consent to. It's a part of our growing up. It's every single person must have it. So are you then trying to imply that every single person should have HRT? What? I'd have no idea how to even fathom how this person has been this mentally deranged to come up with this kind of logic. I don't know what hoops that they have jumped through, what they have done, but they have connected the dots when there wasn't even a picture to be drawn.
HRT, then they can't consent to puberty. How do you not understand the take? Like, what the f is wrong with you?
How do you understand the take? Every single person goes through puberty. Puberty is not something that you need to consent to. Puberty is oh, I hit that age and my voice has gone a little bit funny and I'm growing hair in places that I didn't used to have. And you know what? I'm suddenly starting to notice the people that I'm attracted to a little bit more. That's what puberty is. It's not something that needs to be consented to. When I was a teenager, I was in drama theatre, and sometimes you dress up. Exactly. That was a perfect example. Oh, well, my son decided that he was going to be the princess in the play. Let's make him a girl. Absolutely not. Never, ever, 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 ever would that be allowed. If that was what your parents had pushed you into, Child Protective Services should have been called. And certainly, when I was growing up 10, 15 years ago, you would have been called by Child Protective Services to say, what exactly are you trying to do to your child?
You. Like, seriously. If they can't consent to HRT, if they can't decide which puberty they want to go through, how do you...
Which puberty? What do you mean, which puberty? It's called puberty. We are not doing, like, versions of puberty. I'm not riding around in my Toyota puberty while someone is driving their Subaru puberty. Puberty is puberty. It's one and the same for everyone.
You, like, justify forcing them through puberty?
Now, the tweet they're referring to is this one right here. If minors can't consent to HRT, then they can't consent to puberty. I had to read this like 2 times to make sure my brain wasn't fucking leaking. This person is so fucked up mentally. They're fried. They're like, well, you know, if you can't consent to HRT, then you can't consent to going through puberty. Consent to going through your natural selected puberty is now something that is completely against your will? What is this argument? It's just a non-existent BS argument to compare apples to fucking watermelons.
I agree. I mean, we just went through that. How are you comparing something that every single person naturally goes through to actually you should be able to pump yourself full of whatever hormones that you have decided that you feel like having on the day? Absolutely not. Do not be this person, please.
It's not the same thing, okay? With HRT, you're constantly injecting yourself with something to change who you are. And with puberty, it's something that we all go through. Am I supposed to give this person a lesson on puberty? I better be getting...
That's a failure of the school education system if they have no idea what puberty is. Puberty is exactly what I've said. You're going to develop. Your muscles might get a little bit stronger as a guy. As a girl, you might develop in other ways. Your breasts might get a little bit bigger. Wow, you might have developed. You're growing into yourself. That's all it is. That's what puberty is. HRT, and then you have mood swings as a teenager. Oh, no, no, no. That sounds like a destined disaster to increase the Sudoku rate. I can't say the other one because then YouTube would ban this video. But you know, the one where you take a long walk off a short bridge, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. But it's Sudoku for today. But it would absolutely drive the Sudoku rate through the roof because you've got angsty, moody teenagers, a bunch of hormones, and then subsequently when they do regret their decision, if they regret, and I would assume that the majority do regret because they haven't been set in their ways, they are going to realize that they screwed their entire life and they are going to want to go back to, I don't know, life's starting screen. So I could just see this being a humongous disaster to push people into restarting their game, so to speak.
Paid extra for this, for giving a lecture on puberty. It is not the same thing, okay? Puberty is something that we all go through. That is a natural thing. It's just a natural part of life. Why are we having this argument? This is legitimately a non-existent argument, and this person's trying to make it an argument and a thing. It is not the same thing. What are you on about? You're fucking insane. The amount of mental gymnastics this person had to go through to get to this argument or this conclusion is beyond me. At that point, you might as well make the whole argument that you don't consent to being born and blame your dad for nutting inside your mom and bring...
That's actually a pretty funny way to describe it. Actually, I also didn't consent to be born. Hey, Dad, why didn't you shoot me into a sock or shoot me into a condom? You can't ever go through that logical leap. And you're certainly not going to be like, well, I didn't consent to be born, so actually my parents have to pay for my entire life. That would just be a horrendous disaster.
You to lie. You are brainwashed, okay? I don't know who brainwashed you, but you're fucking retarded. I was willing to be charitable towards you, but you're just weird.
When these people talk about consent, it's always in a gross way. When I, for example, talk about consent, it is to like address the claims of like trans kids don't exist because they are too young to transition and like all these things.
They are far too young to transition. When they talk about age of consent, they're talking about it from saving these people from making a horrendous decision. When I talk about it, I talk about it in theoreticals because I am actually going to ruin someone's life. That is exactly how this comes across.
Shouldn't have HRT. It's the same with me saying, hey, you know, if a trans kid cannot consent to HRT, then why can they consent to puberty? How does that work? And then it's like, oh, that is so different. That's like lunacy that you even like insinuate that such a thing even like exists. That is crazy. You normies actually fall for this kids can't consent to trans affirming healthcare argument. I feel like people maybe like in the center.
Yeah, this argument isn't the argument you think it is. You're so fucking weird. I kind of feel like I need to shower after making this video. I gotta keep it real with you guys. Why are we having...
I agree with the shower. I have no idea where they've got this logic. This is like, I don't know, their brain wires have been crossed. They live on Twitter for far too long and they haven't actually interacted with a real human being in like 20 years. I still cannot fathom how they have come to this decision that, oh, well, puberty must be consented to, number one. You can't consent to puberty, so are they trying to imply that puberty is like assaulting them, which I don't get? And then they're trying to say that at any age that then you must also then be able to consent to hormone blockers or hormone enhancers or testosterone or whatever they use. I'm not particularly well versed in how it all works, but this is disgusting, man. If this was someone that I knew in person, I would certainly be pulling them to the side and saying, you need to change. You need to change your opinions because this is going to cause horrendous issues in the future. You are pretty much being a danger to children by pushing these dangerous ideologies.
This argument in the first place. Can you please just leave the fucking kids alone? Let them be kids and then let them figure their shit out later. Why are we forcing this upon them? Once again, this does not come from a political side. I'm not here to push an agenda. I'm just seeing all of this as a normal ass person. How did we get to this point where we want to force transition onto little kids who don't know better, who are barely getting what life is, and you're like, well, you want to change your gender? Let's do it. You know, I support that 1000%. It's one thing to do it as an adult. It's a whole different thing to do it as a little kid when you don't know better. If we're going down this route, you could get a tattoo at any age. You could start drinking at any age. You could start smoking at any age. If a 5-year-old wants some beer and a cigarette, dude, just give it. And if he also wants to get a tattoo that very same day of a fucking Crayola in his forehead, let him. Who cares? And if that very same day he also wants to transition, dude, fuck it. Let's just do it. Fuck it. If we're heading towards that, just let the kid be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. Don't even be a fucking parent. Just let him wander aimlessly throughout the universe. And I found this comment and it says, as a relatively normal trans person just trying to exist in society, it's people like you that really hold us back. This
100% agree with that comment there. Trans people generally are extraordinarily nice people. You judge someone on their character, you don't judge them on their qualities, what makes them tick. You judge them on their characteristics. But when someone is this disgustingly insane, it paints with a very broad brush across the rest of the trans community to make them all look bad. It makes them all look like they are advocating for this when a lot of them are just saying, hey, this is how I feel. I want to be me and I want to feel comfortable in my skin. That's the general version of trans. I feel so sorry if there is someone who is trans watching this and seeing how this person is doing such a disservice. They are doing more to damage their cause than anyone ever possibly could have argued against them.
This person is just making trans people look horrible and like creeps when that is not the case. There's cool trans people out there. There's trans people out there that are just trying to live their lives. But it's these type of individuals that fuck it up for everyone else. I found this comment as well. As a trans myself, I don't agree that children should transition. Children are by default not smart enough yet to make their own decisions, let alone know what those decisions even led to. A random kid at 13 or younger shouldn't be thinking about this type of stuff, which I agree with. Puberty is
absolutely,
a
I agree with
natural
that too.
progression of things. It exists for a reason. Now, this is someone responding to them on Twitter, and they say, sorry, I'm a leftist, but I still think that the risk of infertility when it comes to HRT and puberty blockers is too big of a risk to give to teenagers. Let them go to therapy for short, but no HRT before 18. I think that's a valid take. This person is delusional. This person should...
What do they mean saving lives? I think it's more important to save lives. Oh, I think that it's going to save someone's life for us to push a whole bunch of medically induced therapies onto them. Absolutely not. You are going to cause irreparable damage and probably cause a lot more Sudokus than you ever think will be possible. Someone is going to freak out. They're going to realize, oh, I had this when I was 10 and now I get to 13 or 14 or 15 and my life has entirely been ruined and I cannot repair it. All you are going to do is ruin an incredible amount of lives. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about this video. Do not let this happen. A whole societal structure, a community around this. The trans community should absolutely be pushing back against this because they don't want to be tied or associated with insane people like this. And parents should be aware of people like this to protect their children. That's it.
But no HRT before 18. I think that's a valid take. This person is delusional. This person should never be taken seriously.
Because a lot of these things that they are saying are from a fake point of like compassion. We don't hate trans people. We just want kids to make the right decisions.
We don't hate trans people. We hate disgusting, vile stuff like this, where you're trying to affect children. And we do care. It's a point of compassion. We knew when we were younger, we had no chance of making the right decisions. We were molded throughout time as our brains developed. As our bodies developed, we learned what we liked, what we didn't like. You might have experienced some things and thought, I'll try this once. And then you thought, actually, no, this wasn't for me. But now you're trying to push something that has such a permanent effect. Do not do this, please.
Of how this pretends to be shocked.
I guess it's wrong and you're insane and transphobic if you don't want little kids to start transitioning. The thing with these people is they only see black and white. That's all they know. That's all they see. And life isn't black and white. I wish it was that simple, okay? But it is not. And you're potentially harming the child a lot more when you enable his 7-year-old fucking thinking. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say. This person, please check their hard drive. The amount of times they talk about kids on their Twitter and YouTube is a bit sus. I'm not here to call him a pedophile or anything, but very interesting. To say the least. Anyways, I'm out. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.
Thank you for the video. It was a fantastic video, Sensitive Society. Great coverage of this insane person. Beyond insane that any of this ever gets advocated for. It makes my skin crawl. It makes me unreasonably angry that this can just be said on the internet, not face nearly as much backlash as it really should, and just in some circles gets encouraged. Absolutely not. Beyond level, do not engage. And I will always, always, always agree to call out stuff like this. at any point, I will not allow this kind of stuff, or I will certainly speak against it, is probably a better description. I want to have a clear conscience that I speak about what I feel is true and deny all of this insane rhetoric that comes out of places like Twitter. Anyway, that's going to be the end of that video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to have earned your subscription, your like, your comment, and we shall see you in the next one.